Alright, so the Sporting KC versus Orlando City game have just finished, and if there's one word you can describe this game, that word would be offside, because we had a lot of offside call that was happening in this game, and there was actually three offside called that disallow a goal in this one, and there could have been a fourth one late in this game, but we'll talk about later on why exactly that was not the case. But first of all, this was the 600 MLS game for Peter Remis coaching SKC, so congratulations of him reaching a milestone that not many MLS head coaches have been able to do so, and especially with the way nowadays with how high the MLS coaching turnover is, I doubt we're going to see a situation where there's going to be a lot of head coach that could potentially reach that mark. I mean, after all, Peter Remis is right now the longest tenure head coach in MLS, and I believe the second longest tenure head coach in MLS is Jim Curtin. So maybe at some point Jim Curtin could potentially reach that. And also, I don't want to forget about Greg Vanney, who's also been in the league for a very long time right now, and I'm not quite sure have he reached that mark yet, but it seemed like he's probably going to be very close to reach that mark, since I think he's been in the league for about 7 and 8 years now. They did the I believe I will win chant before the start of the game, and it wasn't just the supporter for SKC that did the I believe we will win chant, or I believe I will win chant. Basically, the PA announcer said that very loudly, and that everybody was kind of doing it. And, I always thought that this chant was kind of a very cringy, kind of generic US kind of chant, and that, yeah, the fact that, first hearing it on TV, it's already kind of cringy, but imagine hearing it through the PA announcer to kind of fire up the team. It kind of sounds more appropriate if you do that in an NBA game, but when you do it in an MLS game, yeah, no thanks for me. But either way, in the first half, and just 1 minute into this game, Pushkin was able to rob Nani, while Michel, who had a chance to put away on the follow-up, blasted over the bar. And it was a quick start in this game, very end-to-end in the first 5 minutes. That would kind of continue throughout this game, as, despite the fact that we only saw 2 goals in this game, this was actually a very entertaining game and a very end-to-end game between both of these teams. Then, in the 9th minute, we saw the first of what would be 3 goals that was disallowed for offside. The first one was Ishmael Marin. Looks like he scored his first ever goal in his career, but unfortunately the goal was disallowed for offside, and it seems like he was in an offside position there. And I believe, if I remember what happened here, because there was just so many offside goals that I kind of started to forgot how some of these goals was actually disallowed. But I think I think, was it Busio, the one that kind of drives that shot that was deflected off of one of the Orlando City player, and then it kind of ricocheted right to Ishmael Marin. Now, because of the fact that that shot was directly toward goal, even if it goes off of Orlando City defender, when you decide to shoot one that is deflected off of a defender and end up to one of your teammate that is in offside position, then yeah, that of course is going to be offside, and unfortunately Ishmael Marin was in an offside position there. As I said, it was a very even game for both teams, and both teams I thought looked good going forward in terms of building up on the attack, especially on the opposing end. Then in the 25th minute, as they were finished with the awkward in-game interview, since FS1 and ESPN, for whatever reason, always do these awkward in-game interview, doing like halfway through the first half and then sometime halfway through the second half. With Peter Benji Michel almost poked one in for Orlando City. So yeah, that was almost kind of a GBS kind of moment, where, remember last year when they first did this in the MLS's back tournament, when they were doing an in-game interview with Guillermo Barros Scaleto. I forgot who exactly was they were facing, the Galaxy. But the opposition, of course, scored a goal right when they were interviewing GBS, and I don't think till this day on FS1 has ever done an in-game interview with GBS anymore. Well, they probably will never do it, because Scaleto is no longer the head coach of the Galaxy, and now no longer the head coach right now in MLS. Now, Michel did score in the 35th minute, but this was the second of what would be 3 goals that was disallowed for offside in the 35th minute. Before, right on the stroke of halftime, it looked like this was going to be scoreless, but Busio would score from Shaarawy to give SKC a 1-0 lead. And as we head into halftime here, it's a 1-0 lead for Sporting KC. And if you're Orlando City, that has to be very frustrated. The fact that it looked like they were on verge to maybe head to the second half with a scoreless draw, and knowing the fact that heading into the second half, SKC was going to bring up some of their cavalry and was going to bring on Polito and Russo into the attack. If you're an Orlando City fan, you probably feel like there's probably no chance. The fact that they could potentially come back from this, and that SKC is probably going to score 2 or 3 goals in the second half. But yeah, heading into the second half, and speaking of which, Polito, of course, came in at halftime for Kingdom. Then Pereira looked like he scored the equalizer for Orlando City, but once again, this goal was disallowed for the second time for Orlando City. And again, I kind of forgot what caused this. Oh, I know what caused this. So it was a ball coming into the box, and it looks like maybe Antonio Carlos did try to flick that one in, but he kind of missed the flick, and then it just ends up into the path of Pereira, who basically puts it into the back net. But obviously the problem with that goal is, since Carlos did kind of look like he was intended to trying to make contact to the ball as the ball was coming into the box, yeah, therefore that is the reason why, of course, it is offside. So SKC, once again, very lucky to be still leading 1-0 in this game. Then Polito did have a chance in the 53rd minute as he dragged a 16-yard shot that just wide. 6 minutes later, Gallese would deny Fontes from long range after there was just no closing down whatsoever from this Orlando City defense. And by the way, as well as both attack was in this game, the defense by both of these teams were very questionable at some point of this game. And as I mentioned, that was pretty poor defending from Orlando City, leaving Fontes so much space to shoot there, and he almost make them pay, but unfortunately he hits one just a little bit high. The pace of this game was very frantic, and it was evident that after this miss by Fontes, Orlando City wasted no time to just go up the other end to try to score the equalizer. Smith then in the 75th minute tried to drive one through traffic, but Pushkin was able to have an easy save there. Then in the 78th minute, Nani would score a very cheeky kind of back heel that originally was called for offside, and it originally looked like Orlando City is going to have the unlucky honor of scoring a hat-trick of offside goal, but they look at VAR to see whether or not if it was offside, and indeed when you look on the replay, it was very close that Nani maybe had his left arm that was kind of in an offside position. But knowing the fact that Orlando City has been so unlucky tonight in terms of goals getting disallowed for offside, and also knowing about what happened last week in that game where Higuain, of course, assisted the goal for Robbie Robinson in that game against the Galaxy, and I talk about how it was kind of controversial where Higuain had seems like he was kind of in an offside position as he was going through transition, and that goal of course counted. So if that of course would have counted, then I feel like this should have counted too, if you want to be consistent in terms of VAR, and indeed it did count it, and the game was tied up at 1 apiece. SKC did try to push for a late winner late in this game, as Orlando looked like they was just settle for a draw, and in the end that is exactly what they get, as this game ends in a 1-1 draw between both of these teams. Shots in this game, 9 shots compared to 11 that Orlando City has, 5 shots on goal compared to 4 that Orlando City has, 2 shots off target compared to 4 that Orlando City has, 2 shots that was blocked compared to 3 that Orlando City has, and possession-wise, 60% possession compared to 40% possession that Sporting KC had. And it's not often that Sporting KC actually get out-possessed at home, but that of course was the case in this game. But overall, I think a 1-1 result is fair in terms of how this game turned out, because it was a relatively even game between both of these teams. But at the end of the day, Orlando City will be the more happier side, despite the fact that they had 2 of their goals that was disallowed for offside. And for Sporting KC, it's another game where they gave up a late goal. It seems like that's something that is still happening in 2021, and if you're an SKC fan, you hope that this is not going to be once again a regular occasion, just like what we saw in 2020 and also in the 2019 season. In fact, that was where it kind of kicked off the trend where SKC just always seems to, in the last 15 minutes of the game, struggle to trying to finish the game off and not give up a late goal to their opposition. But yeah, either way, hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this game, as this is only one of what would be 13 games that is going to happen in week number 2 of the young MLS season. You know, tomorrow we got 11 games that is going to happening, including one of them that I am going to attend, and then we also got that one lone game that's going to be happening on Sunday between the Red Bulls versus LA Galaxy. But until then, hope you guys enjoy this video, and I, of course, will see you guys next time.